Just look on the bright side of life.
So there's a different thinking that is required to take on a short sale. That's the basis of this teaching right here. I'm going to read something for you out of page 91 of this amazing book called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. I'm going to bet that some of you have never actually heard it this way, or you've skimmed over it before. I'm going to ask you just to hear it again for the first time if you've never heard this, okay? Gary writes that treating it like a game is also about learning to think strategically. The problem is that most real estate agents can't distinguish between the rules, how you play, and strategies, how you win. In real estate, our rules have nothing to do with making money. They're about conduct, ethics, and protocol. You can be a master of conduct, ethics, and protocol and still be a pauper. Now, I'm not in any way insinuating that you need to break the rules to succeed. Rules are about proper requisites and restraints. I advocate playing by them. However, strategies are often found in the gray areas in between the rules. I can't relate to you how many times I've heard the following type of exchange. Low achiever. Can we do that? High achiever. Why? Did somebody say we couldn't? Did you guys hear that? Did that sit on you? Okay. All right.
That's a huge piece for us. That is, excuse me, that is Outback, you guys. It's about finding a solution. Gary used different words, but high achievers, people that produce at a high level, people that solve problems like short sales and helping people avoid foreclosure, have to think like that. How can we get this done?
All right, guys, so we're going to jump into some real content. Here's the deal. This class was called Short Sale Offers and Contracts That Win. Here's the challenge, and we're gonna prove this real quick. There is a very wide variety of people in this room, okay? Let's get a raise of hands. Raise your hand if you currently have at least one short sale listing you're working on right now. Okay, awesome. Keep your hand up if you've closed at least one short sale listing. Keep your hand up if you've closed 5 short sales, 10, 20, 40. Okay. Some of the 40, that's awesome. Okay, are you guys seeing the dynamic here though? Okay, so what we're going to set out to do today is talk to you about a couple of things. Who has an interest, who's working with buyers and would like some tips on how to work with a buyer in a show? Okay, we got some guys are like, oh
okay,
yeah.
Okay, do that.
So we're going to talk for a few minutes. We're going to share with you Group 4610, Kevin and Fred's way of handling a buyer in a short sale transaction that we're not negotiating on, okay? And then we're going to go in and we're going to share with you on the listing side our system for taking listings and negotiating short sales. Now, that conversation could last 4 hours, and it does on occasion when we teach in our local market. So we're going to summarize it for you today, and at the end we're going to look to leave a little bit of time to answer some questions. Cool? Okay, perfect. All right, Kevin. So let's talk for a minute around how to work with a buyer in a short sale transaction. I'm just going to share with you a story essentially around how, when we have a buyer prospect that comes to us, how we decide to talk to that person before we ever go out and show them a listing. In our business, Kevin and I actually don't do a lot of showings for buyers. In fact, I don't know when the last time I showed a buyer home was. We do have buyer's agents and buyer specialists that work on our team. It's a requirement on our team that before we ever go out and show anybody a listing, that we're going to sit down and do a consultation with that client. Okay? I know some of you in this room do that. I'm going to encourage you, others who aren't doing that right now, to start doing it. I think it's the absolute key to blowing up your buyer business. We follow the Nikki Ubaldini script, which you can find on KW Connect. I think it's a great buyer consultation script. And what we've done is we've taken that script and we've molded it into basically today's market, if you will. So we have our normal questions that we ask the client around what they're looking for, setting expectations, etc. And then at the end of our consultation, we go into a conversation with them around the real estate market. I would say the biggest thing that agents out there are missing in the market right now is that we're not educating our clients properly. And I'm not picking on you guys in the room, but for those of you buyer's agents that are working with a buyer in a transaction, you've gone to the listing with the seller when you can clearly identify that they have no idea what's going on. Or you've gotten to a closing situation and all of a sudden the seller has backed out of the transaction on you. Anybody have that one happen to? It's happening because we're not educating our clients enough. We have this shift, as we talked about earlier, the Outback shift, which is basically moving short sales and REOs into the box. And we're not doing a good enough job of educating our clients. So what we do is we sit down and we educate them. And for you, that's going to look different depending upon what your market looks like, okay? The next thing I'm going to suggest that you consider doing, this is part of our system. Again, you don't have to adopt it. There's lots of ways to do things. I'm going to tell you what's been successful for us. Is that before we'll ever go out and show a buyer a short sale listing, we're going to ask for the buyer's permission to pre-qualify that short sale listing, okay? And what I mean by pre-qualify the short sale listing is that in our market, about 60%, 40 to 60%, somewhere in that ballpark, are short sale listings on the market. We do have some bank-owned, but 75 to 80% of the Phoenix market is not traditional, bank-owned and short sale. So we have a lot of short sale listings, and buyers naturally want us to show them all of those listings because some of those homes are in the best condition, they're priced at the best price. But you've got to slow down when you're working with a buyer and stop and say, hey, Mr. Buyer, look, I understand that you're going to want to see these properties, Kevin, but I also understand that you've hired me as the professional in the transaction, and that as part of my professional duty to you, you'd like my professional advice on which listing is actually going to close.
Well, yeah, I mean, but don't you specialize in short sales?
Well, I do, Kevin, but when we're out on the market looking with other buyers at other listings, there are other listings that other agents are negotiating. In fact, I don't know if you knew this, Kevin, but on average, depending upon who you take your statistics from, somewhere between only 20 and only 40% of all short sale listings actually close. Meaning that you have a 60 to 80% chance that if we write an offer on a normal short sale listing, that listing is actually going to go to foreclosure and not close.
Well, that's not good.
No, not good at all. So in fact, Kevin, what I'm going to suggest is, as a short sale expert, I'm just going to ask for your permission. I want to pre-qualify the listing for you. I'm certainly not looking to eliminate homes that you can't, that you want to buy. That's not my intention. I want to get you in a home that you like, but also that you can close on. Okay. And that's the important piece. Okay? So just a basic script, guys. The idea is you got to build a relationship with this buyer prospect so that you become the expert. So what I'm going to suggest is you personally, okay, go home and develop a list of questions that you can ask other listing agents, okay? I'll tell you 2 questions that Kevin and I ask.
Favorite 2 questions.
My favorite 2 questions. Now for us, I can have about a minute conversation with the listing agent, and I can determine very quickly if they know short sales or
I actually
don't.
believe you can smell it on them.
Okay.
I really do. No, but seriously, we met somebody in the hallway a minute ago. Not that she smelled weird, I could just smell it on her. Like she knew short. If you're in the room, I'm sorry. But you get a sense of somebody who's really got a process down, guys. And if somebody doesn't have a process down, why would you ever want to trust your transaction to that? Why would you want to put your buyer through that when there's other options out there? Not saying don't show the short sales. I'm just saying give yourself and your client who's trusted you a better chance of closing the deal.
2 basic questions. How many short sales have you closed? How many short sales that you've listed have gone to foreclosure?
Well, Fred, that sounds like you're disqualifying people who haven't closed short sales yet.
Yeah, let me touch on that. How many short sales have you closed? How many have foreclosed? Somebody that's doing a lot of short sales, guys, should be able to tell you what their numbers are. They should have a general sense of what they're doing. And if you don't get a straight answer from somebody when you ask those 2 questions, that might be your first, I guess, gut, if you will, that maybe this isn't the best person to take your buyer to go see their listing, okay? Now, I want to be real careful. I understand that there's folks in this room that have never closed short sales. I understand that there's folks in this room that are just thinking about getting into it. I'm not in any way insinuating that you shouldn't show a buyer a listing of somebody that's never closed a short sale. But when I ask somebody that's never closed a short sale how many short sales they've closed, I'm looking for an honest answer from them. Okay? And I think that's fair enough to ask for. Everybody has to start somewhere. We didn't close 200 short sales without losing several of them to foreclosure. Okay? Do you guys follow that? On average, I believe that a good short sale listing agent should be closing above 80% of all their short sales. We close on 90% of all of our short sale listings. Okay? But you've got to understand the industry average, when you go look at the numbers that are out there, it's between 20 and 40%. Okay? Now, I've had other people that have said, well, what other questions should I ask? I would just challenge you to sit down with some folks in this room, in your market center. Develop a list of other questions if you want. I can get a good judge off of those 2 questions really quickly and determine somebody's professionalism and experience.
Always look on the bright